In this session, we will be discussing about dimension styles, multi-leader styles, and system variables. So, we will start with the styles. So, using styles and variable to control dimensions is the fundamental way which we use. So, how you can create the dimension style? You can directly get annotate dimension and dimension style, the options within your panel. You can directly get this particular options, which you can find the path, annotate, dimension, and this is your dimension styles, this is your leader styles, this is your table style, and so on. This is your text style. So this particular option symbolizes your dimension style. Once you click it and you go to modify any particular style, and by default you will be with the lines option, and various ways are there which you can use to activate the style option, this dialog box, and you can define a new style with your name. But fundamentally we will be starting with the lines tab. Once you go to the lines tab, you have couple of parameters which you can see to control the dimension line. So if you see here, the colors for the dimension line you can specify, which you can see the display, the line type or line weight, extend beyond the ticks. This is very important. So extend beyond the ticks you can specify, but the default values is baseline spacing. With respect to base, what about the spacing? That you can specify. You can suppress the dimension line 1 or 2, which is extended lines, and also the extension lines you can control its default colors and properties, and you can suppress as well. Just like the dimension line, you can suppress the extension line as well, and you can go for OK, and you can set current, and you can close it. So this will be updated with the spacing values whatever is shown. This is the spacing values 0.38, 0.38, 0.38 with respect to the base dimension. Just like that, the extension line also you can configure extension beyond the dimension line, whatever you need, that you can configure. If you go to de-enter and you go to modify and extend beyond the dimension lines, that you can configure here. By default is 0.2, that you can set, and that you can test it here. This extend beyond the dimension line. Just like that, the offset from the origin also you can set from the dimension line to the extension line. That is basically your offset origin, that you can configure and change it, which I can show you here. Between this is the gap which you can set it. Dimension aligned between this point and this point. This is 0.03 set, which you can see, de-enter, modify, and you can see it 0.03 set offset from the origin. So these are the configurations which you can directly set and validate when you are using the dimension configuration. And you can also draw with the full length extension lines. These are the full length extension lines when you configure it. So when you dimension from the object boundaries, it will consider the full length dimensions values, or with the fixed length extension lines. These are the configurations which plays a very key role when you configure your dimension. This is the fixed length. The display you can check it here, and you can typically specify and control the dimensions values as well. And you can also control the extension lines, which you can switch off or switch on based on the requirement, which I have already shown. Next we will move to the symbols and arrows, where you can play around the symbols, where you control the arrow size, and you can have your different arrow styles with arrow length symbols, which you can configure as well, which already I have shown in my session. So again, just if you would like to check it, you can find this. The arrow configurations you can directly do. Extension lines we stop, already we tested. Arrows, these all definitions you can control from there. Go to de-enter, modify, symbols and arrows. You can have user arrows and you can configure the arrow styles. That is nothing but the drawing blocks. Whatever the blocks you may be having, that you can configure, or you can have your default arrows. And also you can configure the center marks. You can have the center mark or with the lines and whatever the size of the center mark, and dimension line break, that size also you can specify when already we have applied. Center mark and all these configurations you can also do over your drawings. Next we can move to the text tab, where you have the text style, text color and fill color for the background and text placement. All this you can configure directly, so that you can see with the various text size how the things will be different. And also you can have the dimension text inside the frame, which you can directly control here. Any particular text if you have, directly you can control through the frames. If you have a particular text, you go to de-enter and go to modify and go to text. Here you can see draw frames around the text, which directly you can set current and update for all the drawings. In this way you can configure major properties and placement and text alignment also. Text alignment is very important, because when you offset from the dimensions line, where exactly you would like to locate, that you can see. And text alignment can be in different way. The text alignment can be with respect to the dimension, text alignment can be with respect to angle, or text alignment can be default with respect to the horizontal, and so on. And this you can see the fit, and you can have the alignment here, and you can control as per the requirement. And you can also have the primary dimension unit set. Primary dimension is the master dimension which you use. For that you can have a scale factor. If you want to convert from inch to mm unit, you can have a scale factor conversion here, so that that will be updated in your drawing. And rounded dimension is something like this, which will be rounded. Actual dimension is this, but it will be rounded to the nearest one, which you can find inside the rounded dimensions option. You can see rounded up. So till what decimal you are going to round it, that you can see. If you go to de-enter and you go to modify, you go to primary units, here you can see the rounded up. Till what decimal you are going to round it up, that values will be rounded. So you can see 0.53 is visible here. If I am going for the values a single 0, here you can set the precisions. As per your precisions, these values will be rounded. Just like that, you can have the scale factor, which I told. If your dimension is 2, if you have a scale factor of 2, that will be updated. That you can always apply. If this is the case, you go to de-enter, modify, and you go to primary units. Here you have a scale factor. If you are going to change this to 2, all the dimensions whatever is displayed will be doubled. So just like that, you can assign the scale factor in order to configure this. And finally you can have alternate units. If you have the alternate unit, you can do the configuration here and you can check it. And for tolerance, already I told you the tolerance, the values you can set, like the methods, the bidirection, unidirectional, which directions, that always you can have. So if you go to the de-enter, modify, and go to tolerance, here you can have these methods which already I have shown. You can have limit. Here you can directly see the display, symmetric, or deviations. Just like that, the precisions you can set, and align decimal separators or align operator separator. That you can see decimal will be dot and operator will be any specific operation. In this we can control the tolerance by the different styles and format which you can use, and you can use the dimension styles with the prefix and suffix. This you can use. The suffix code 0 symbolizes linear, 3 will be radius, 2 will be angular, 4 will be diameter, 6 will be ordinate, and 7 will be reader. These are the controls for dimension style families. In a particular example, if you can see the various dimensions like the linear, baseline, aligned, radius and diameter, everything is shown, that you can work out. Take this example and apply this, fundamentally apply this single dimension and look over the applications. And you can go for the style and you can configure with the tolerance here. You introduce a different style and override this. And you can compare with the existing styles as well. For example, if you have this dimension style, you go to de-enter, you have couple of other styles, you can go to compare between dimension 1 and this radial. I need to compare, or whichever is existing. So what all variations you have, that you can see here. The arrow size is 0.7 whereas it is 0.07. So all this property independently you can control and map it. This is the comparison. Just like that, you can use the multi-leader styles and you can map the styles as well. So for using this, you can control and configure independent properties, which I will show you. So how you can configure the leaders and its properties, that we can see. So you can go to the leaders and go to style and go to modify, and here you have leader formats, the straight type or spline type which you need, that you can configure here. Arrowhead, how you'd like to have, and the size of that, leader structure, maximum leader point, first segment angle, all this you can configure. And content, text space, block, or what exactly will be the text content mode, that we can extend leader to text. This also you can select so that leaders will be extended up to the text. You can frame the text and always left justify you can select. In this way you can configure the style of the leaders, and after that you can create your leaders, so that you can see based on my configuration this will be done. So leaders are very important, which directly you can configure and you can set your properties as per your requirement. Within the content, you can, if you go per block also, different configurations you can give for the blocks, which already you can configure here. If you go per blocks, here different details, structures are there for the blocks, which you can align here and apply it. So this completes our styling and editing sessions, and in our coming video lectures we'll see and we'll continue with our sessions. Thank you.